What if Musk never cared about the moon? In August, SpaceX signed with Italy's space agency to send cargo to Mars starting late 2026. Plants, sensors, equipment for colonization. Meanwhile, NASA is paying SpaceX $4.5 billion to build lunar landers for Artemis. That's 2 missions, 2 planets, billions of dollars flowing in opposite directions. But here's the genius part. One is funding the other. NASA's moon money is actually bankrolling Mars technology development. So how is Musk pulling this off? And why does this strategy guarantee Mars gets reached faster than anyone expected? To understand what Musk is doing, you need to look at what he cancelled versus what he's building. Remember Dear Moon? That 2018 project where a Japanese billionaire was going to take artists on a joyride around the moon? SpaceX just killed it. Why? Because flying tourists around the moon teaches you nothing about colonization. It's entertainment, not progress. But that same year, SpaceX started designing a lunar lander for NASA. The difference? NASA's paying billions, and every system built for that lander, life support, landing engines, fuel transfer, works for Mars. This is where Musk's strategy gets surgical. He's not chasing 2 missions. He's using one to fund the other. Here's the reality most people miss. Mars isn't just Musk's preference. It's the only logical choice for a backup civilization. The moon sits 240,000 miles from Earth, close enough that if nuclear war breaks out, if civilization collapses, if something catastrophic happens here, the moon doesn't escape it. Radiation spreads, supply chains break. A lunar base becomes an orbital graveyard waiting for Earth to recover. Mars is 140 million miles away, far enough to survive independently when Earth can't. But distance is just the beginning. The moon has a problem that most people don't realize until astronauts describe it: the dust. Lunar dust hasn't been weathered by wind or water for billions of years. It's sharp, jagged, almost like microscopic glass shards mixed with asbestos. During Apollo missions, astronauts walked back into their landers covered in it. The dust got under fingernails, inside equipment seals, even under their skin. Some reported smelling it, described as gunpowder mixed with metal, for weeks after returning to Earth. One astronaut's son played with his father's spacesuit glove months later and got cuts on his hands. That's what we're dealing with. Now think about breathing that for years. Then there's radiation. The moon has no atmosphere, no magnetic field, nothing to block solar and cosmic radiation. Electronics degrade faster there than anywhere else we've tried to operate. Humans would need thick shielding just to survive long term. Mars has a thin atmosphere, mostly CO2, but it's enough to cut radiation exposure significantly. Not safe, but manageable. Temperature swings tell another story. The moon's day lasts 14 Earth days. For 2 straight weeks, surface temperatures hit 127 degrees Celsius. Then it flips. 2 weeks of darkness at minus 173 degrees Celsius. Equipment needs to survive both extremes without breaking. Power systems need massive batteries or nuclear reactors just to keep running through those long nights. Mars has 24.6-hour days. Temperatures are cold, averaging minus 60 degrees Celsius, but stable and predictable. Solar panels work. Daily cycles make sense. But here's what kills the moon as a colony: resources. Or rather, the lack of them. The moon has almost no carbon, almost no nitrogen. There's water ice at the poles, sure, but without carbon and nitrogen you can't grow food, can't make plastics, can't manufacture fuel easily. You're stuck importing everything from Earth forever. Mars has a CO2 atmosphere, frozen water beneath the surface. Those two ingredients let you manufacture methane and oxygen, exactly what Starship runs on. You land, extract resources, refuel, and keep going. Self-sufficient. This connects directly to a debate that's been raging in aerospace circles for years. Should we stop at the moon to refuel before going to Mars? Some NASA planners loved this idea. Build a lunar fuel depot, extract oxygen from moon rocks, top off tanks, then head to Mars. Sounds logical until you run the numbers. Musk and his engineers calculated the delta V, the total energy needed for the journey. Stopping at the moon doesn't save fuel. It costs more. Here's why. The moon has no atmosphere. Every landing and takeoff requires full rocket power. You burn fuel going down, burn fuel coming back up. Mars, despite being farther, has that thin atmosphere. Starship uses it for aerobraking, literally dragging through Martian air to slow down instead of burning fuel. A direct flight from low Earth orbit to Mars' surface actually uses less total energy than a round trip to the lunar surface. The physics don't support lunar refueling. It's a detour that costs more than it saves. So why is SpaceX building a $4.5 billion lunar lander if the moon is such a dead end? Because NASA's paying for it, and SpaceX is smart enough to use that money for Mars prep. Let me break down the financial genius here. NASA awarded SpaceX 2 contracts totaling roughly $4.5 billion for Artemis lunar landers. But SpaceX publicly stated those payments cover only a fraction of actual development costs. The contracts are milestone-based. SpaceX gets paid after hitting specific goals, not up front. So this isn't about chasing easy money. It's about leveraging government funding to solve problems that Mars colonization requires. In-orbit refueling? That's essential for Mars, but untested at scale. Artemis missions force SpaceX to perfect it. Precision landing on unprepared surfaces? Mars demands it. Life support systems that work in deep space. Artemis pays SpaceX to develop and test them. Every dollar NASA spends on lunar Starship development directly advances Mars readiness. Musk isn't building 2 ships. He's building one versatile system and letting NASA fund half the R&D. Some critics argue this is cynical, that SpaceX is using Artemis as a cash grab. But look at it from a practical engineering standpoint. You need a testing ground. Mars is too far, too slow, too risky for iterative development. Every mission takes 6 to 9 months just to get there. Communication delays range from 8 to 40 minutes, depending on orbital positions. Launch windows only open every 26 months. If you send equipment to Mars and something breaks, the next fix might take 3 years to arrive. The moon is 3 days away. Communication delay is 2.6 seconds, basically real time. You can launch almost any time. Test a system in March, identify what failed, send an upgraded version in May. This is agile development versus waterfall. The moon lets you iterate fast, fail cheap, and learn quickly. Mars forces you to get everything perfect on the first try, or wait years for another chance. And there's another advantage nobody talks about: gravity training. The moon has 16% of Earth's gravity. Mars has 38%. Astronauts living on the ISS experience near weightlessness, which causes bone density loss, muscle atrophy, cardiovascular problems. Lunar missions train crews to live and work in partial gravity, far closer to what they'll experience on Mars than anything a space station offers. It's rehearsal for the real mission. But here's the trap SpaceX must avoid, and it's the same trap that killed Apollo: over-specializing for one mission. Apollo's Saturn V and lunar landers were engineering masterpieces, but they were built for one purpose: short moon trips with small crews. When the moon race ended, all that technology became obsolete. The hardware couldn't adapt, it couldn't evolve. NASA threw it all away and started over. If SpaceX builds a lunar-only starship, stripped down, lightweight, single-use, it might satisfy Artemis requirements cheaper and faster. But it would be worthless for Mars. Remove the heat shield and aerodynamic flaps because the moon has no atmosphere. Now you can't enter Mars, use propellants that can't be manufactured on Mars. You're stuck importing fuel forever. Design it as expendable instead of reusable. You've just recreated Apollo's dead end. SpaceX seems acutely aware of this danger. That's why Starship development looks slow compared to what Artemis critics expected. They're not building a moon rocket. They're building a Mars ship that can also go to the moon. It's overbuilt for Artemis by design. Full heat shield, full reusability, full refueling capability. This makes timelines longer and costs higher in the short term, but it means the technology doesn't hit a dead end. Every test flight, every landing attempt, every refueling demonstration serves both missions. NASA gets its Artemis lander eventually. SpaceX gets a proven Mars transport system. The moon becomes a paid training ground for the mission Musk actually cares about. And here's the brilliant part. By the time Artemis 3 flies, Starship will have already proven itself capable of reaching Mars. The Italy deal for 2026 cargo missions isn't speculation. It's contracted. While NASA astronauts walk on the moon in 2027 or 2028, SpaceX hardware will already be operating on Martian soil. This is Musk playing the longest game in aerospace history. Use government money to fund private ambitions. Use the moon to prove Mars capability. Use political support for Artemis to build colonization infrastructure. And do it all without compromising the core mission. NASA thinks they're buying a lunar lander. They're actually funding humanity's first interplanetary transport system. So here's what's actually happening. While everyone debates whether SpaceX is focused on the moon or Mars, Musk already won the argument. He's doing both, and making NASA pay for half of it. The lunar lander isn't a distraction. It's a fully funded test program for Mars hardware. Every system built for Artemis, the refueling technology, the landing engines, the life support, gets validated on the moon before it ever touches Martian soil. By late 2026, while NASA is still preparing astronauts for Artemis 3, Italian-funded cargo will already be on Mars. Plants growing in Martian regolith, sensors collecting atmospheric data, equipment testing resource extraction. The colonization timeline isn't waiting for moon politics to resolve. It's already running. This strategy solves the biggest problem in aerospace: funding. Congress won't approve $50 billion for Mars colonization outright. Too controversial, too expensive, too far away. But a $4.5 billion lunar lander for beating China back to the moon? That passes. Musk took that political reality and turned it into rocket fuel, literally. He's building a Mars ship on NASA's dime, and by the time anyone realizes what happened, Starship will have already proven it can reach both worlds. The moon isn't slowing down Mars. It's accelerating it. And that might be the most brilliant move in SpaceX's entire history. What do you think? Is this strategy genius or reckless? Drop your take in the comments. If this breakdown changed how you see SpaceX's plans, hit that like button and share this with anyone still confused about why Musk is building lunar landers. And subscribe to New Space Review. We break down the space industry's biggest moves before anyone else catches on.